Hello and welcome to A New Day with Susan. I'm your host, Susan Yockey, and today I am just ecstatic about this conversation that we're about to embark on. Just thinking about it, I have chills all over my body. I'm really excited about having Julie Ward, intimacy and relationship coach, speaker, writer, who's going to offer. Well, she offers deep insight and wisdom on intimacy and relationship in a lighthearted, earthy manner, blending transformational body-centered psychotherapy, tantra, feminine embodiment, and relationship coaching to uniquely support her clients to awake their intimate lives. Her expertise has been showcased in Canada's #1 magazine, Canadian Living, with many other contributions to radio, TV, and speaker panels. Her deep love of family, plus knowing the pain of divorce personally, called her to shift her C-level executive practice to focus on what matters most. Her practice is deeply influenced by her spirituality and sexuality teachers, David, is it Dida?
Dita.
And Michaela Boehm, psychologist and Kashmiri Tantra lineage holder. Visit her at www.julieward.com. So first off, I just want to welcome you to A New Day with Susan, and I value your time and I'm so grateful that you are here to share with us on a topic that's dear to my heart, which is about demasculating men.
Right. And Susan, I'm so glad we connected. Like when I first connected with you, there was such an affinity about really being able to speak truth and to bring more self-conscious awareness, not self-consciousness, but self-awareness and consciousness to a conversation about how to raise people up in the world, not just the men in our lives, but our families and the people that we love, like there is no, there's this place of communing, of connecting. We all want the same thing. We all want to be loved. We all want to be witnessed and seen and heard for who we are.
Yeah.
And devaluing the feminine or the masculine in us in any capacity causes that tearing, that heartache. And what we're here to do today is to shine that light and shine that love on ways that we can actually bring more awareness to these subtle ways. Sometimes they're unconscious ways that have been indoctrinated in us that we're not aware of, that we actually shut men down. We actually, demasculate them, castrate them, and not allow them to be who they are. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to diving in here. And I so love that you've such a stand for causing connection and causing love and great healing in everybody.
Thank you. Yes, that is what I'm committed to.
I know.
Thank you. So, well, first, let's just kind of back up a little bit and start with maybe sharing what brought you into this field of work.
Okay, so the reason I got into relationship and intimacy counseling and coaching specifically was when I was doing executive coaching and working primarily at that time with women who were in transition in their life, career transition, life transition, partner transition. When they were moving from one place to another, what was coming up were these qualities. These women were very strong, like very strong women. They were out to save the day. They were out to be champions in their lives, and they were pushing, and they were succeeding, and they were climbing that career ladder, and they were fast, and they were busy, and they were thriving. And yet, when we started to look at the values and what they were wanting more of in their life, there were like these secrets that started coming out. Things like, I wish I could have more time with my children. I used to be fun. I used to laugh a lot more. and one of the favorite ones was this really powerful CFO. And she said, I miss baking cookies.
Oh,
And I was
yeah.
like, and for me at that time, these clients that were coming to me were very much, we resonate. Well, we attract our own tribe, right?
Hmm.
So these women very much modeled how I was being in the world as well. Very like driven and purpose and
Yeah.
energetic, and that very strong, what I now know to be a masculine energy, right? Like that drive, the direction, going forward, moving fast, getting stuff done, task oriented,
Hmm.
very masculine. And I didn't even have a name for what I was experiencing with all of these women, this feminine side, because I too had basically disassociated or cut off the feminine aspects of my being. Sure, I would wear dresses. Sure, I would put makeup on. Sure, I would look pretty. But it was like putting on a mask. It was like a shell over top the true essence of the divine feminine that was inside of me, and yet I didn't feel safe enough to let show up. So
Yeah.
then my practice churned into that discovery for myself, and then over time, as I shifted, it really became the umbrella of relationship and intimacy.
Mhm.
Intimacy, not necessarily sexual intimacy at the forefront, but intimacy with self, really understanding the depths of who I am and bringing that to my practice and to what I offered. So the umbrella of intimacy is that deeper dive in. And the broadness of relationship is we're always relating, we're always connecting, whether we're doing it with purpose and intention or not. We're
Yeah.
always in relationship with each other. So that was why I shifted to that. And now for me, my stand is to cause healing in the world so that people can come together, men and women can come together and understand that, we're not equal. And people go, what are you talking about? And it's like, no, we're not equal. We're different. We have different bodies. We have different feelings. We have different ways of communicating those emotions and communicating and finding our way of being in the world, whether we're men or women. And it's to understand those two differences so that we can honor and appreciate and respect them.
Mm. I
Yeah.
love that. Oh, I love what you stand for.
Thank
Wow.
you.
It's
Yeah.
it's inevitable that we all want to be related. And I
Yeah.
think part of the disconnect is coming through social media and such, but we're even connecting and being related through social media.
Yeah.
And it can be powerful how it influences how we show up in life. And
Yes.
so I love that the kind of work that we do is we're able to work with people on when you are discovering yourself, your true authentic self, then you can show up differently in the world and deal with those mindset limitations and such.
Yeah.
But what I really love too is where do you think, well, let me say not love, but where do you think the masculinity is stemming from?
I believe where the masculinity in anyone or in the world at
In
large.
women, in
In
women.
women. Well, I think we have masculinity is inherent in everyone. So I have masculine qualities and I have feminine qualities as well. So it's a continuum. And sometimes we need to get shit done. And so we just drive forward and get the task list done, right?
Mhm.
And that's masculine energy. Masculine is in my framing of it, and the practices that I've learned, is masculine is the conscious part, the mindfulness. It's the analytical side of us. It's our direction. That's the masculine side. So it is the structure. It's task oriented, time bound. The feminine aspects of who we are that deep connection, that intuitiveness, that felt sense of the world, that expansiveness where you can feel me
even though we're miles and miles away, and get goosebumps from just the energy of that. That quality, that felt sense, is the feminine. The feminine is life force itself. She's the creative force. So everybody has both qualities in it. It doesn't say men have to be all masculine, and no, they have feelings, and as just as much as women can feel. They just do things, they come at it differently. We're wired differently to access our masculine and our feminine. So women, how they've tapped into, when the feminist movement, I think this is where you were going, with the feminist movement decades and decades ago, our blueprint at that time of masculine, and what we were trying to break free from, was a very patronizing, macho jerk kind of masculine energy, right? That was our model of masculine. So little girls saw a macho dad and jerky uncle and grandfather mistreating women, patronizing. No, that's okay, young woman. So when women started to step into their masculine, the blueprint that they had for their masculine was one of that they inherited from their fathers and grandfathers and uncles and etc., because that's what they knew to be masculine. So the feminist movement initially did not free the feminine in a woman. It freed the masculine to come out and play, to go after the careers, to step into that, to be like a man, to wear the pants, which was all fine and dandy. But the blueprint, the model, was really formed around this the patronizing society that we had at the time, as opposed to a benevolent masculine that is there to serve the feminine. And that is truly what the masculine's purpose is men. I'll bring this back to men. Men love to be of service, you know? You know, we even have, you know, on our police cars, to serve and protect, right? It's like, that's the masculine way of in the world, is to want to provide. You know, we take it back to even Neanderthal. I'll go back to Neanderthal times, because here's the thing that I know, is that we are not so evolved. Sure, we have language. Sure, we have technology. But from a physiology standpoint, we're not that far evolved when you look at the continuum of time, and that from, you know, ancient man, where they were standing at the door of the cave protecting their families, who were busy nurturing and raising the kids around the fire and cooking meals and everything. So men were the hunters, the gatherers. The women were the nurturers, the caregivers, the source of life. They brought the continuity to the family.
Yeah. Well, that I think this kind of leads into, where do you think it shifted, where women began demasculating men, and what does demasculating a man look like in a relationship, and what does it mean?
Right. Well, early on, there, with that release of women being able to find their voice and speak their truth, which was so valued and still is valued today. We see it even with the Me Too, with women rising up and saying, this happened and this happened. And with that, the initial onset of the feminine being able to show up and be seen and witnessed, and to show that pain, there's anger with it as well. Okay. Yeah. So there's this anger. And so in the masculine genre of energies, the extreme masculine is an aggressor. He will fight to the death, right? Whether it's the masculine within a woman or within a man, it's the fighter, and it's the sheer aggressor. That's why there's wars, right? And when we're angry about something, then it can become aggressive. And again, our patterning was around aggression and suppression, you know, putting people down. So when women stepped in to claim their own masculine, instead of being submissive housewives, but to be, you know, I'm going out in the corporate world and I'm going to be like the guys, and I'm going to be, you know, I'm one of the boys, and I'm going to do anything a man can do, because I can do anything a man can do, and women can. We can. But the pattern, the blueprint, was one of aggression, one of hostility, one of putting people down, because that's what women experience. So that's where it stemmed from. And so it expresses in our culture today in various ways. And it started with that freedom with women
that freedom of women, we now could, we could become self-sufficient. We weren't reliant on men to bring home the bacon. We could get divorced and survive. We didn't need a man. We want a loving man. We want a good man, but we don't need him. We're not going to settle anymore for bullshit, right?
Yeah.
We're not going to settle for that. And I wouldn't encourage anyone to do that.
Right.
And yet, at the same time, we ended up with a extremely high divorce rate. And because of the divorce rate, there's a lot of families that are single mom families. And the dads, because they're driven into shame for not being able to provide anymore, they were ripped apart. And so now you've got young boys, generations of young boys that are, I call them lost. They're men now, lost men, lost boys.
Yeah.
And they're raised by women who don't understand the masculine way in the world. They don't understand how men process information differently. And so women are raising boys in the way that they're raised, and because that's what they know. Mm-hmm. And so they want boys not to be boys anymore. If you take a look at little children playing, before we start introducing any ideology about what a boy is and what a man is, or a woman is, and you look at those little kids playing, what we invariably find is that boys, they like to have rules, and they stick to the rules. They want the structure, because that's a masculine thing, is to have structure, right? Mm-hmm. And they want to win, and they want to play a game where somebody's the winner and somebody loses. They're fascinated with death. And death expresses in the form of sports. Yay, I won. I killed it. I killed that,
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, honey, no. We don't say those things, hon. We don't say, And then girls, like I remember once my partner was so frustrated with my girls playing Monopoly, because once somebody started to lose, the girls changed the rules so that we could keep playing. And he
love it.
He goes that, and he was like, "That's not it. There's rules. Like, you're going to lose. Have more money. Let's just keep playing," because the feminine wants to continue with the experiences that cause her joy. She never goes to stop, right?
Yeah.
Where the masculine, what they want is they want conclusion. Like, how many women have ever heard, "Are you done now? Is there anything more? How can I fix it?" Because they want stillness. They want emptiness, which is that fascination with death. The ultimate emptiness is death. Yeah. Whereas the feminine within us wants to keep the conversation alive, wants to keep the play alive, wants to keep the dance alive, wants to just keep everything vibrant and going. And like, how many times have you been lost in a conversation? You go, "Where'd the time go?" Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how the feminine operates, is wanting that form of communication. Mm-hmm. And when we impose that way on young men, boys, it stifles their own self-expression, which is wanting to be analytical and wanting to be structured. And we've even seen this in our school systems, right? Mm-hmm. I don't believe in violence, right? And everything like that. But young boys, if you watch young boys, and if one boy acts out, he gets a slug in the arm, right? It's like, "Hey, knock it off," right? And the boys go, "Okay, done," and they move on. It's done and it's over with. We don't allow boys to experience their own physicalness anymore. We don't allow them to express, and they never understand the power that they have. They are physically built stronger than women, and not as an overarching way. Mm-hmm. That's why we have, even the Olympics, there's men's sports, there's women's sports, right? Mm-hmm. It's because of the physical differences. And when we stuff a boy down and say, "You can't express your own masculine side, you can't experience the power that you have in whatever form that is," we tell them, "Don't climb the tree, you're going to get hurt," right? Yeah. Don't play so rough. Even in schools, like I was saying, we've taken away, in our school systems, no one wins anymore. Everybody's a winner. And boys, they rise to challenge. They love the challenge. and they'll step into doing more when they have a good challenge. I've seen this, especially one of the best analogies I can give you, which is from my own life, was in martial arts, watching a sensei with the boys. And the boys, they'd move their hand a certain way, and he'd go, come on, let me see your best. And they'd go, and they'd puff up, and they'd do it better, right?
Yeah.
Whereas with the young girls, when they were doing a move, the sensei, what he would do is he'd shower them with appreciation. Oh, that was really good. And next time, just do this a little different. So he nurtured them. So the feminine grows through nurture. The masculine grows through challenge.
Yeah.
So when we don't allow our kids to be challenged, we end up with these lost boys that don't know how to express themselves. They're softer. They're softer. They're floating through life. The feminine floats through life. But men need purpose. They need direction. They need to have something to champion. And we take that away from them so often.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I've never heard of it put like that, but I can relate. Well, as you were sharing, a thought came up about, and I don't know the name of the organization because I haven't heard about it for a very long time, but I met a man in a program that I was doing, and he was one of the mentors in a program out of California where they're taking the young men who have been in trouble or causing trouble or whatever, they focus on young men who don't have father role models. And they go through this program, but it's a series of challenges to challenge them. Well, yeah, they're like doing challenges, and then they have, at the end, they've got to earn their right. And they use some form of that's used in another country where they, in the tribes, where they men are initiated into becoming a man.
Yes.
And their goal is to intercept these young men because a lot of them are turning out to be very abusive towards women because they're taking that aggression that they don't understand that they've got, and taking it out on women because they didn't do it to their mom, or they were doing it to their mom, and she's just, like you said, it's not okay, honey, and an amazing program. And it's funny because when I heard that at the time, I have 4 adult young men in my life. My youngest is 19, but they talked about the pecking order. He was telling me that they will get to an age where they start challenging your husband, and he's got to show them he's still man of the house. And that's what they learn. And they will all challenge him. And he's so right. I watched each one of them in their own ways challenge him. And then he said, and they always also challenge the mother. And it's very important that the mother does not back down from the challenge, because when she does, she's giving the boy or the man permission to do something that could be, not a good thing.
That's right.
So, and I can think back and remember they all challenged me, whether it was verbally or physically. And I would just stand my ground because I got that little nugget,
Yeah. I think it may be the program called Boys to Men. And
yes, that's it.
The Mankind Project.
Yes.
They do rituals of rites to passage a lot of times in the woods and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yes.
So it is. It's a mentorship program for boys that don't have strong male role models.
Yeah.
So I would encourage, much like you, I would encourage any mother that has a son that's acting out to look that program up and get a healthy, benevolent male role model for their child. So I think that's awesome. One step in the right direction. That's one step in the right direction. Absolutely. Yeah.
So do you think that demasculating the man is coming from this way they're being raised? And
well, it is one that's harming. It's harming our generations of young people.
Mhm.
And then when these boys end up in relationship, these young men end up in relationship, their energy is more gravitated towards the feminine energy, which is to be in flow. Like, what do you want to do, honey? I don't know what you want to do. And then women get upset because it makes them, we polarize each other. So if I were in my masculine, and I really was like, hi Susan, like came at you, like you'd go, oh, like, you know, it's a
Yeah.
feminine thing. It doesn't matter if it's two women polarizing masculine and feminine, or man and woman. It happens all the time. But when we're talking specifically about a relationship where a man is more in his identified at that moment, through no fault of his own, but more identified with his feminine, it causes his partner to be more masculine in her nature, in order, because it's like, it's a law of nature. It just happens. It's like two magnets. One has to be one way and the other the other. So what happens then is, because of these blueprints of unhealthy masculine, patronizing, critical, aggressive, of masculine, of that energy, when he does that, then how women end up stepping into their masculine is, it in a lot of times it's not healthy. What they will do is to demasculize and even further their man. They'll start criticizing him, you know, cutting him off at his ankles, basically, or higher up, perhaps,
Yeah.
you know, by saying, well, to give you an example, one way is asking your guy to do something for you. Honey, would you mind, moving the couch, for example? And then hovering over him, going, no, you're not doing it right. You're not doing it right. And instead of allowing him to give you the greatest gift that he has, which is to be of service to you, you pull the rug out from under his feet by sitting there constantly criticizing that he's not doing it your way. So I encourage women that I work with that are married to notice where they're ripping their husbands off from being men and doing it the man's way of doing it. It might not be, maybe the women could do it better. Maybe they could do it better, whatever it is. But it doesn't really matter, because really what's at the root of it is you're wanting love, you're wanting connection, you're wanting the both of you to be held sacred and healthy. So is it more important that the couch is 1 inch over because you did it after he put it where it was? Or is it more important to come back to a place of love and to make your husband feel like a man by saying, see, I did it,
Yeah.
So that's one way
I can see that in my own relationship. Yeah.
Yeah. Another way that women demasculinize men is men will offer to help. They'll say, they offer to help. They'll say things like, here, let me get the door for you. Can I carry those bags for you? And you've got women going, nope, I got this. I don't need you to do that. I got it. Right. Just get out of the way. Right. And it's like, you know what, you are absolutely capable of carrying that weight. You are absolutely capable of opening that door. Absolutely. But the greater gift to give is to allow a man to be of service to you, to allow him to love you and to show you that he's trying to help you.
Yeah.
So women, I would say, allow the guys to do the things, big or small, and let them do it their way. And, a couple days later, if you want to move the couch an inch, go for it.
Because they probably don't care anyways afterwards.
They won't notice.
And they moved on.
They're not going to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
So those are a couple different ways that women can consciously, and this is about raising consciousness. It's not about all of a sudden you becoming some helpless, frail female. You're capable. I want the women to hear this. You're capable of doing whatever it is you set your mind, your heart, your body to do. You can, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
You don't have to be better than your man. You don't
Yeah.
have to be the better man. You guys came together. Women and men come together in order to complement each other, not to be competitive in their relationship and say, look at me, I can do it better.
Yeah.
So
Was there a difference between demasculating and domestic violence? Because I know another topic that doesn't get talked about a lot is men who are in abusive relationships with women. Is it the same thing or just more extreme,
well, what
maybe?
I've spoken about is abuse.
Mm,
Okay. It is
so it
abusive.
is the
It's
same.
cruel. It is. It's cruel to sit there. You know, if you flip the coin for a second and we put it on to women, if you were in a relationship with a man who was constantly criticizing you and cutting you down and telling you weren't good enough, that's abuse.
Yeah.
It's abusive. So the flip side to that is when we don't allow our men in our lives to give their greatest gifts, to step into their power as a man, to be of service to us, it's cruel. It hurts the masculine heart.
Mm,
So it is abusive. Yes.
yeah. Oh my gosh. You know, and I'm not perfect, and I'm, for me, in my own experience of my relationship before I began becoming consciously aware of how I'm being in my relationship with my husband, honestly, it just blew my mind that I was even being that way towards him, not even just aware of that was how I was being, because I am very masculine as well, but I didn't know that I was abusing my husband. I'll just say it. I abused him in a way that belittled him, made him wrong for being a man. And I wasn't consciously doing that. It was all unconscious. And when I became aware of that, it was just like, I think he got to a point where he just shut down and he withdrew.
Yes.
And then when I started becoming aware of demasculating, that I was doing these things to him, and started becoming responsible for how I was showing up. Oh my gosh, talk about a man showing up. You know, you want your man to be, or to roar and be your king. Then what you're saying, Julie, is just, it's so true. Just step back and allow him to be that man, to be your king, to be your knight in shining armor, because all he cares about, what I've realized, is making me happy.
Exactly.
And that even meant he was willing to suffer the abuse. And makes me emotional thinking about just how much love he has for me, that he would take that kind of punishment and not walk away from me. He stuck it out, and I thank God every day for the tools and the coaching and the healing that I've been able to experience over these past 8 years of my own life, that I can show up and be his queen. And create a juicy relationship with communication, and be responsible for any kind of disagreement that shows up. I'm not saying he doesn't have his part, but when I show up responsible in that part, it shifts our relationship, and it's just a beautiful process. And we get to be different role models for our children. So I really thank you so much for just shedding some light on like where it comes from, what it looks like, and what are some ways that you work with your clients in having them. You mentioned one where you have her just, step back and stuff, but we all deal with limitations of the mindset, and people, like I said, are not always conscious about that stuff yet. So what are some ways that you can notice those things showing up?
Well, notice when you're doing it, the men will, like you said, they'll withdraw, they'll go away, which causes the feminine in a woman to feel more anxious and then to come in more.
Mhm.
What's going on? What are you feeling? What are you thinking about?
Drive them nuts.
Yeah, drive them nuts, right? Which causes them. So when we demasculate men by trying to be better than them or cutting them down, saying that they're not good with the way that they're doing things, I think what causes the men, they don't go to feeling guilty about it. They go to shame because it hits them in their heart. It hits them in the core. And shame is the darkest and darkest of energy. That means that who they are as a being is not good enough for you.
Yeah.
And it drives them to shame. And that shame is so, it hurts so deeply that they do shut down. They numb themselves. They drink beer. They go fishing. They don't talk to you anymore. They're quiet. So those are the signs. That's one sign. The other sign is they may decide, instead of just shutting down and withdrawing, because men just want their freedom. They want to be free to be who they are, just like we do.
Yeah.
But they want it at a deeper sense, because what the feminine in us want is to be held. We want to be connected. We don't want to be alone. Men would be good to go fishing for a week.
Yeah, that's why it's so easy for them to say, if you want to leave, go. That's, yeah.
Because that's really what's going on for them.
Yep.
I think for women, men, as much as they want to know that you love them, I think the three words that reach them more deeply than I love you is I trust you.
That's delicious.
Yeah. So letting your man know you trust him and that he'll figure it out. And knowing that men do process things differently. They do like to retreat and go away and figure things out in solitude, and then come back with the solutions. As opposed to women, we'll talk it out. We'll talk it through. Let's talk it through. And that's not, again, this is another way of demasculating a man, thinking that, or wanting him to behave as a woman. I have a lot of women that have come to me with their priority list of their ideal man that they want to find a relationship with. And really what they've described is another woman. It's like, go get some girlfriends.
Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah. Because men don't communicate that way. And to drive the man into their feminine when they haven't even had the opportunity to express their masculine, that grounded presence, that being able to just be with you eye to eye.
Yeah.
Not say anything, but really get you at that level. We teach boys to be a walking apology, and men to be a walking apology for men. They won't make eye contact anymore. They're afraid to.
Yeah.
Objectifying. Oh, what's he looking at? He's looking at my breasts. Well, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think the
eye contact anymore? And they're walking. They're like walking apologies. The shoulder slump, the pants down around their ankles, basically their heads held down. Because they're not proud of who
they're
they
afraid to even get into relationships.
Yeah.
I mean, they want it, but I've been hearing there's a rise on, like I heard this video, this guy did a video, and he's like expressing like he's afraid to get into a relationship with a woman, and that he just kind of gave up women because they're so masculine that he's afraid of what it will be like in their relationship. And I thought, wow, I mean, thank God he's speaking out. But what do you think the impact of this way of being is having in our world?
Well, what I found is women are getting in relationship, women who have a greater capacity to shift between energies, just naturally. We shift back and forth, masculine, feminine. We're multitasking. We're all over the place doing things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doing and being all at the same time. You know, how it's women are getting tired. You know, the women are complaining. They're complaining that, you know, he doesn't do anything. You know, he's sitting around and he's not taking care of the things I would love him to take care of. Meanwhile, she's going around behind him, readjusting because she wasn't satisfied with the way he did things to begin with, right? So women are getting tired of playing both roles. Women are wanting to sink into a deeper sense of relaxation. They want to tap into the more creative side. They don't want to be, the masculine energy is a tenser way of being.
Yeah.
It's tenser. It's a body tension. We're more upright, you know, like even meditation practices, it's an upright thing, straight spine. Whereas the feminine is more about pillows and flow, right? Like being more non-linear, more relaxed in our bodies. So it's causing women to get depressed, stressed out. Hang on a second.
that was quicker than 10 seconds.
There's just a train going by, but it's causing women to get stressed out, more anxious, resentful of men, more angry, more hostile, and just plain tired themselves. On the flip side, like you said, the men are operating from a place of shame, of being resigned and suppressed, of feeling like they don't, you know, they would be good. Men are be good fishing and hanging out with men and maybe, you know, having surface relationships here and there.
Yeah.
But men are wired. Like if you look at the masculine, even, you know, the masculine would like to live on the mountaintop and watch everything, you know, just take in everything and just be witness to it all. Whereas the feminine wants to be down in the valley with the water and the flowers and the children and the dancing and the sunshine and the breeze, and she wants to experience it all. And if people think that I'm just making this up, you look at little children in school, you know, go back to school dances, and what you will find is the boys naturally gravitate around the sides, and the girls are the first one to be engaged in the energy of the music and to be on the dance floor and to be moving, because inherent nature of the masculine in these boys is to be the witness and then to be drawn in by the life force and the love of the feminine into the dance, right? Into the relationship.
That sounds so exquisite.
And it's my experience and what I've seen invariably. And so for the guys, yeah, it is. It's lonely for them, but they're okay with being lonely. They don't mind it so much.
Yeah.
Whereas the feminine heart doesn't want that. She wants that deeper connection.
Yeah.
I think a Harvard study years ago said that men, they did a longitudinal study with men and women about happiness factor. Men were happiest when they were married in a loving relationship. That's their happiest. Women were happiest when they were communing with other women.
I believe that.
Right.
Yeah. That's where we get our communing, is through other women, and we don't bring it home and do it with them. It just makes sense.
Right. Yes. And so too often putting that responsibility for your man to be your everything.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Being a girlfriend as well as my lover. It's a different energy. Sure, there's a time to say, let's talk things through and things like that. But there's also, it's doing it with conscious and not putting all your eggs in one basket. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's allowing him to have his space to do what he needs to do. And the masculine needs to have that place where he can be deeply relaxed and confident, and how a woman can build him up to be that is to show her appreciation for the things that he does do.
I love
Okay?
that. Yeah.
Invariably, when we show appreciation and say thank you for doing the dishes, guess what? Tomorrow the counters will be clean too, because he likes
Yeah, it's true.
he wants to be recognized and acknowledged for doing for serving you and to making you feel good. And he goes, wow, you know, she gave me a kiss because I washed the dishes. What will happen when I wash the floor?
Yeah.
But it's about that. It's about showing
Yeah.
appreciation, and not just in words, right?
Uh-huh.
It's about this bodily expression of softening. Like, instead of going, good job, honey, like, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
thank you.
Oh, yeah.
You see and feel the difference. They do. They feel a woman's openness, and they feel her closure.
Yeah.
So there's truth in both aspects of it.
Yeah. So what, a while back I heard a lady talking about when you were saying a boy likes direction.
Yes.
I heard a woman say, if you want your husband to do something, don't sit around complaining about why he's not doing it. Just tell him what you need him to do. Just say, just give him direction to do it. And he'll usually do it most of the time.
Right. There is this thing about asking. Yes, I think you should what you need. And here's a little play on that, a nuance on that is more effective. The minute you
Hold on. All
right.
What? Thank you.
Make a craft and supply.
Well, we'll have to make that happen. All right. We're almost done here, okay?
But we're gonna have to let that song dry.
Yeah. Let them dry. Put them in front of the fan.
Okay.
All right. You want to start where you left off?
Sure.
Okay.
For the sake of creating.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I think Julie likes it too. Go on. Put it in front of the fan. All right. I just start back where you started. I'll just cut that part out.
I love that you brought that in. I love that you brought in the asking. And what I'm going to add to that is, whenever we're asking a partner to do something, it is masculine force. When you're saying, do this, it's the masculine that is the directive nature within all of us. So when a woman asks a man directly, do this, she's in her masculine, and it's actually going to cause him to go into his feminine to some degree, right? Or retaliate with his masculine, right? So masculine energy and masculine energy are going to butt heads. When you say, honey, do this, he's like, whoa, So instead, what I invite women to look at is a non-direct way of asking for what you want. And I'm not saying that you have to lose your voice. I think it's important that everyone, man and woman, be able to be direct at times, to ask for what you want. But what I'm inviting you to consider here is that in service to allowing your man to be a man, to giving him the gift of your feminine nature, to giving him your love, is to allow him to be a man. And how you do that when asking is to embody your ask, to be your ask. So for instance, what I found that works is that, let's say for instance that you're in you're sitting on a couch and you're cold. You could tell your husband, honey, can you get up and turn the thermostat up? Can you go do that? And he might do that. He could probably very well get up and do that. But you're directing him again. You're masculine. What would serve him better and serve you better is to say, oh, it's really cold in here and chilly. And what's going to happen is he's invariably going to say, oh, well, here, let me put my arm around you and keep you warm. And if that doesn't warm you up enough and you go, ooh, I'm still cold, honey. I'm still cold. Then he's going to want to serve you. He's going to want to protect you. He's going to want to provide to you. And so what he's going to do is he's going to say, hey, let me go get you a blanket. Let me go turn the heat up. Do you want me to turn? Can I do that? Oh, thank you. And it's going to make him feel a man, even if it's something small like that, to be able to go do something for you. Because that's all he wants to do, is he wants to provide to you. He loves you that much that what he's wanting to do is be of service and to make you feel loved. He wants you to know how he loves you.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And it just made me think of another question to ask is, what if you're in a marriage or a relationship with a man who's more connected to his feminine side and you want him to be more of the masculine side?
Okay, so with the masculine and there's a law of nature. It's like, when you've got a starter, a positive and negative on a car starter, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When you touch them, there's an arc of energy that happens, right? Right? It's natural. It's a law of nature.
Yeah.
So they're polarized. There's a positive and a negative. Well,
Okay.
masculine and feminine it can be polarized as well, right?
Uh-huh.
And you can't, and it's a law of nature. It's not something that the other person could help themselves with. They would naturally do that. So if you were, I'll use an extreme here. The extreme feminine is about being in life. It's about being boundless. She's about just enjoying everything, right? Mm-hmm. So the extreme feminine is a femme fatale. She can't do anything for herself. She's helpless. Oh, help me, right? A victim, basically, right? Now, the extreme masculine, on the other side, instead of just being assertive and directional, he's aggressive, very nasty aggressor, okay? So if, for example, your guy is a feminine kind of guy, right? He's in his feminine energy more often. But let's say you came in and all of a sudden you fell to the floor. Oh my God, you fell and right? You fell to the floor. I bet you dollars to donuts that guy would be right there in a second. Can I help you? What's happening? What's going on? You would instantly polarize him into jumping into his masculine protectiveness, his masculine direction to come and save you.
Okay.
He's there. He wants to protect you. So that's an extreme example, a very extreme example. I'm not asking women to be helpless femme fatales in their lives. And yet I'm just showing that to magnify that that's what happens. Okay. I don't know any women that I've worked with, any married women, when I've asked them the question, would your husband, because they complain about, my man's always like floaty and fluttery. I don't know. What do you want to do? He's that kind of energy. Right. And so she needs to take charge. But when I asked them, I said, would your husband die for you? Would he give his life to save you and your kids? Almost every time it would be yeah. Because that's the masculine, and that's what we want to call on, that warrior energy in our men. I think you mentioned the king energy, right? It's that warrior energy. So in a relationship, how to do that? If you want more of the masculine in your man, then you need to sink into more of your feminine.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Maybe not to the degree that you're laying helpless on the floor.
Helpless all the time. Yeah. I don't think I could get myself that feminine.
Well, I'm going to give you a real life example that I did with this is my ex-partner. My ex-partner was feeling extremely demasculinized. He had lost his job of 20 years. And for weeks, he was in this place being tormented and in pain, just feeling horrible. Well, he had come over to the house to visit our daughter, right? And I know that his energy was he was crushed. He was just crushed. Yeah. So I'm in my office working away and I'm thinking, how can I give love to this man? How can I make him feel like a man? He's my ex, right?
Yeah.
How can I make him feel good about who he is as a man? And I know all he wants to do is provide. So I'm sitting at my computer and I yelled down to him. I said, hey, I said, can you come up here? I got a problem. Oh, a problem he can fix, right? He comes upstairs. He says, what's going on? I said, I don't know. I says, like, there's something wrong with the lighting on my computer and da-da-da-da-da. Things aren't working right here. And he looks up and he sees the light bulb, one of the light bulbs in a track is out. He goes, oh, for Pete's sakes, because one of the light bulbs are out. And I went, oh. And then he said, yeah, I know, it's hilarious, right?
Yeah.
And then he goes, he says, do you know, he goes, where do you keep the light bulbs? I said, downstairs under the cupboard in the kitchen someplace. I don't know. He goes, oh, I'll go find them. So I get his hunter-gatherer going, and he's downstairs rummaging, looking for light bulbs, which I could have said in the first cupboard on the second shelf, but I didn't. I intentionally, 100% intent, just went, I don't know, but I let it invoked his hunter, his gatherer, his going to look for something. He's going to provide something. And he went rummaging. Aha, I found it, the light bulbs, right? And he comes back up and then he goes, do you know where the ladder is? And I was like, I haven't used it in forever. So again, away he goes and away he comes back and he gets up and then then he asked, do you know how the light fixture comes off? And I was like, I don't know, you know. Well, it was a gift to give him, to make him feel good. He got down, he felt good, like I did some good, I helped. I was of service, I got to help. I got to do something for this woman who's not my wife, who's not my partner anymore.
Uh-huh.
That was a gift I had to give to him. Can I change that light bulb in less time than it took him? Sure, absolutely. I've done it many times.
Nice. That's amazing.
What's making him feel like a man was allowing myself to consciously surrender and let go of my need to control and my need to fix and my need to do it all.
Yeah, which is a break. That's beautiful.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do you do speaking or workshops, or how do you get out there in the public's eye other than your website?
I'm very active on Facebook, so you can find me at Julie Ward Coaching on Facebook.
Okay.
I do have a website, julieward.com, but I am on lots of other podcasts many times during the course of a month. So you'll find me that. I also write for a magazine called The Drive regarding intimacy. It's called Sex Drive. So I do that. So I do a lot of guest writing for other magazines as well. So,
nice.
and I've been on stage numerous times and things. So as things show up and they resonate, like you resonate with me,
Yes.
I say yes. I put my hand up and I say yes, absolutely.
I love it. Awesome. Well, we're at the top of the hour here, and so, or the end of the hour, I should say, or the bottom of it, whatever end you care about. I want to say to you, first off, I just want to acknowledge you for your commitment and your stand for relationships, within having intimacy and communication, and that people are, in fact, in touch with their feminine and masculine side that's in balance, and decreasing the divorce rate. Like, I just only can imagine a family that's connected and in a way that allows for us to arise in our spiritual way and be connected fully in the way that we're meant to be, and as a man or as a woman. And you're so delicious, and I'm so excited that you said yes to my show, and sharing this message, I think, is going to be amazing for people who are experiencing, maybe withdrawn, the men feeling maybe withdrawn and not understanding how to be with their wife who is over masculating. And I hope this gives you an opportunity to just kind of step back and take a breath. And I'd hate for people to have a divorce because of demasculating. And I'm not saying don't, you know, if that's the way you need to go, then that's the way you choose to go. But oh my gosh, like Julie Ward is a resource here for you guys to take advantage, not take advantage of her, but take advantage of that resource in deepening your intimacy with your relationship with your wife or your husband. And thank you. I know that was a long thank you, but I just want to thank you. I got a lot of great nuggets today. Thank you. And I'm sure the listeners will too.
Yeah, well, you're most welcome. Absolute privilege and honor to be here with you. And what I loved was you sharing your vulnerability and sharing that, you know, the role that and the parts that you've played in your relationship in demasculizing your husband. You know, I've done this. I've done it too. Like I don't know many people that haven't.
Yeah.
But you know, and it's time that we own it like you have.
Yeah.
How you're reading and recognize it, because I think really what we're all wanting is the same thing.
I agree. Yeah.
We're wanting to be loved. We're wanting that connection. And we're wanting the freedom to be exactly who we are.
Yeah.
As men and as women.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for me, the impact was I just started to step back and notice I'm raised 4 boys,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm watching them in their relationships. And it's like, if you want to know who you are, look at your kids.
Yeah.
They're either fighting to not be like you or to be exactly like you. And gosh, boy, spirit's with us strong today. Because there's still some healing there for me. And I'm not going to go into making myself wrong, but I see the kind of relationships that they're in, and bless their hearts. But it's because of their relationships that I've been able to see where I could heal myself. And I pray that they see that and know that there's other ways to transform their marriage or their current girlfriend's relationships the way it is now, without the anger, without the controlling, without demasculating. Yeah, I just thank you for this opportunity.
You're welcome. Your boys are blessed to have such a wonderful, incredible, insightful, caring, and loving mother like you.
Thank you.
They really are. Good job.
Thank you. I got your acknowledgement. All right. And I want to thank the listeners. I am so grateful to have listeners who are all like-minded and hungry for this information. Just share. And if you have any comments or questions, I'm sure Julie will be watching to see what kind of questions you might have for her on our posts on Facebook. So thank you guys. Have a great day.
Okay, awesome. Bye for now. Mwah.
Woo, you got me.
Oh,
Oh,
I
it's
know.
still